The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is Gerard with episode number 50 of Florida's Fresh Mix of the Florida Podcast Network, a random mix of Florida's freshest personalities. Listen in.
Hey there, Fresh Mixers. Welcome back to Florida's Fresh Mix podcast. My name is Amber, and I'm the lead content producer of the Florida Podcast Network. And obviously, you know who's with me, Gerard, your host. Gerard, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
Good, Gerard.
Amber, it's 50. It's number 50. This is 50.
Number 50. Wow. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We've been at this for nearly 2 years, and we have just reached 50.
What a milestone. Didn't even realize it until just now. All right. Let's dive into it. Go ahead, girl.
So today's guest, his name is Matt Burke. He is a Tallahassee man. Shout out to Tallahassee. We don't get a lot of Northern Floridians on the show, so we just, really have to represent today.
True that.
Matt Burke is a man who wears a lot of hats, and that's exactly what Gerard, you and him talked about today. But just for some reference, Matt is a business owner, photographer, and an avid rollerblader. All topics that are discussed today. And just some full disclosure, I myself am a pretty avid rollerblader, and that's kind of how I found Matt.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, I love rollerblading. He came across my Instagram feed because I follow other rollerbladers, and you know how Instagram likes to just put anything that it thinks you're going to enjoy.
Right, that crazy AI.
Yeah, the algorithm, they just know you. But it knew that Matt was going to be a great guest on today's show. So I hit him up. We went through the process, and here he is. And what you're going to hear is, and I'm sure I speak for you, Gerard, when I say this, what you're going to hear is a conversation that we didn't expect it was going to go in that direction. But yeah, Gerard, you guys touched on a lot of really fascinating subjects like ADHD, going through life with that, and
my OCD.
And your OCD, exactly. So lots of introspective moments in this one, and I'm just really excited for you guys to listen to it and to hopefully get something out of it and, relate in your own unique ways. That's what we're here to do. Right, Gerard? Yep.
Relate is the exact word I would use. Spot on, Amber. And without giving away too much, I think that this is the perfect interview to have for number 50, because I got to be a bit more personal than I ever have been before, because these topics have never come up before. We got to talk about the kids. As our devoted Fresh Mixers already know, for the past 3 years, I proudly served on the board of directors of Guitars Over Guns. GoGo is an incredibly impactful nonprofit organization that offers students from disadvantaged communities in Miami, Chicago, and Los Angeles a powerful combination of music education and strong mentoring relationships with professional musicians to help them overcome hardship, find their voice, and reach their potential as tomorrow's leaders. Please head to the show notes for more information, and most importantly, to donate. You
can find the link in the show notes. It's always there. And one more thing before we jump right in. So if you've enjoyed listening to Florida's Fresh Mix podcast as much as we've enjoyed making it, please go ahead and review and rate us on Apple Podcast. Those reviews help other Floridians find this show, so they really do go a long way. And we're open to criticism. So if you got something that you want to get off your chest about the show, ways that you think we can improve it, we are all ears. So just let us know on Apple Podcasts.
Constructive criticism. Don't be mean. We're super nice to y'all, but we could take it. But after 50 episodes, I think we're doing all right, but we can always do better, right, Amber?
Exactly. And we're going to have 50 great more, and then 50 great more after that. And after that, and after that. So we're not going anywhere.
I'm in it as long as you're in it, Amber. As long as you don't go anywhere, I'm not going anywhere.
True that. All right, guys. Please enjoy today's conversation between Gerard and Mr. Matt Burke.
Let's ride. All right, Fresh Mixers. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Matt Burke, the founder of Strained Memory, and we're going to get into his company and why he calls it Strained Memory. I have my own predictions, but there's so many things that I want to ask Matt. And the first thing I want to ask Matt is, how you doing today, brother?
I am doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself? You doing all right?
I'm great. Particularly, I'm very jazzed about having this interview with you for reasons that will become plain as we go through it. I think we're going to be able to touch on a lot of different interesting things. I'm extremely curious to see how you would describe yourself. So rather than have me do it, why don't you do my job for me? Tell me who is Matt Burke?
I'm currently in intense therapy right now trying to answer that exact question. That's pretty phenomenal. I am a whole lot of different things. I have been a whole lot of different things over the years. I've worn a lot of different hats, so to speak. I used to travel with a lot of different bands, fresh into my 20s, and sold their merchandise. And just kind of after a little while, I ended up becoming more of almost like a jester on the road, where I was just there for comedic relief and just kind of hanging out. And that was a lot of fun. And from that, I developed into a photography career because I used to bring cameras out with me on the road and just kind of document everything that I could. And with that, people would just kind of ask me to do something for them, photograph something for them. So that turned into a photography career. And then from there, I started booking shows at a music venue here in Tallahassee, Florida, where I live. From there, I rollerblade. I've started this company. I screen print. I'm an artist. I'm a dad. I wear a lot of hats at all times.
So, wow, Matt. All right. So, in other words, you're a very lazy guy with nothing to do. All right.
Pretty much.
No, so,
Yeah.
so,
Unfortunately.
yeah, obviously I'm joking, but let me ask you this. So, your life is full of different buckets, right? What is the biggest bucket at this moment? You've told me a bit about your past, which I want to ask you about. But right now, is your biggest bucket that you're a rollerblader, you're a YouTuber, you've got your business, or is it all kind of mixed in together? What is the biggest bucket for how your life is operating right now?
To be perfectly honest with you, it is and kind of needs to be a bit of everything kind of at all times. I have really, really, really bad ADHD that kind of keeps me just very difficult for the people that are around me, to say the least. And so I need the spontaneity of being able to do some screen printing stuff in the morning, or go skating in the morning and then do some screen printing stuff, and then do some photography stuff, and then do some editing later on, so that I'm never really sitting around doing one of those things for an 8-hour run of time, because I just can't. And so that also kind of explains why I do so much stuff, because I just have interests all across the board. And if I don't allow myself the time to entertain all of those different hobbies and all of those different interests, it almost weighs on me to a physical point. So I do need to actively kind of engage in all of the things that I guess make me who I am.
Well, that's very interesting, and actually, it's pretty brutally honest. I mean, you say on your own website. So this is not me saying this, but you said that you're fueled by pop punk, nostalgia, water, and the worst case of ADHD known to exist, which you just kind of referenced. But it seems like your ADHD, you've got to work on all your dreams, all your hobbies, all your desires, everything you want, kind of simultaneously. Is that what I'm hearing? Is it a gift or a curse?
Oh, my girlfriend and I talk about this all the time. It is both. It's a blessing and it's a curse, absolutely, because I'm pretty good at figuring stuff out pretty quickly. Learning new hobbies, learning just kind of new things, picking up stuff. I'm very, very quick to those things. And then I have the ADHD superpower of hyperfocus. And so I'll literally, air quote, open up Google and be like, hey, how do I do this thing? And 8, 9, 10 hours later, I'm sitting there like half perfecting that thing. And then so that just becomes like another part of my repertoire almost. And so as you're saying, or as you just said a second ago, it is it is definitely a little bit difficult to not have that experience about, okay, on Monday I'm going to work on this, on Tuesday I'm going to work on this. I wish that I had, I guess, like the mental discipline to be able to do that, but I kind of need to give myself, after years of learning this, I'm going to be 40 years old this year, so after years of kind of figuring myself and learning this, it's just I have to give myself the leeway to be able to do the thing that I kind of want to do in that moment, or else I'm not going to be functional on any sort of a level that's going to get anything done. And that's a curse. That's definitely a curse. I speak all over the place, so I'm sorry. If you need me to like speak in a straighter line, I promise I'll try, but I'm all over.
No, I was no, Matt, I really appreciate it because I was actually about to say the exact opposite, which is that I just decided that this is not going to go the direction that I was anticipating. I think it's going to go in a better direction, which is no direction.
Yeah.
I did not intend for this to be like ADHD focused, but I think it's very interesting because we've never talked about ADHD in any of our prior interviews. I'm fascinated by the subject, and we'll just talk about whatever it is that we talk about. And rather than as someone who's been pigeonholed my whole life because I'm a lawyer, so it's easier to say I'm a lawyer, and I've tried to shed that moniker forever because I'm much more than that. But it's easy to say, okay, I'm a lawyer. So if I have a guest, and it's like, okay, that this person does this. They're an aerobics instructor. They're a writer. They're this. So with you, you're doing so many different things. I like the fact that we can bounce around to wherever this conversation takes us.
Yeah.
But let's start with the ADHD and how I've never had someone openly express that it's like an extreme form. So when did you first realize that you were different, and how did it manifest itself?
It's been my entire life. I actually, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I literally am in therapy right now, trying to figure out all sorts of stuff and how to deal with ADHD and some other stuff that I've got going on that I have no issue touching on if you want me to at some point. But I literally just got an email from my dad. I called him and I asked him if he had all of the paperwork and he could send it to me from all of these different therapists and psychotherapists and stuff like that. From when I was in like 8th through, I believe, 10th grade. And so he sent me all this paperwork. It's all of the assessments that they did on me and all of this other stuff, just basically explaining that I have terrible ADHD and that it would be best for me to be put on medication to kind of mitigate the symptoms, I guess you could say. And so I was never put on medication when I was a kid. I was never put on any sort of a medication until like last year and a half ago or so. And that did not work out for me. So I am not on any medication again for it. And so it is just running rampant. But it is something that has been a part of my life since literally, first memory. I've been all over the place. I've always been that kid. I've always had interests all over the place and always needed to get my hands dirty kind of thing. And it just never changed. It definitely, I won't get too deep into it because I don't want to, bog anything down, but it's very difficult as far as like my schooling life. And then as far as like holding or maintaining like a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Just because I move so fast and need to be doing something. So like small talk and busy work and stuff like that, like just doesn't flow for me. If there's not a purpose for what I'm doing, I just don't want to do it. And I like can't even fake it. So that goes back to what I said a few minutes ago about how I just need the ability to do whatever I want, because if I don't, I'm just not going to do anything. Like I will literally be a lump on a log, just kind of taking up time, taking up space.
Right. No, I hear you. And I find it interesting because I'm a bit older than you. I just turned 47, but I can't remember the first time I heard. First of all, ADHD came after ADD, and I know that when I was in 8th grade, I don't think anyone was talking about ADD. I can't remember the last time I the first time I heard the phrase ADD, and then eventually it became ADHD.
So when I was in 9th grade, I was like, I guess dual diagnosed with ADD and like a severe ADHD. So I had like, I guess they're different. I don't know. I'm no sort of a doctor, so I'm not here to give any of that information. But yeah, I was like dual diagnosed with ADD and ADHD, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I always just assumed it kind of started off as ADD and then it kind of morphed into ADHD to be more inclusive, kind of like, I know they're totally different, but like, you add more letters like LGBTQ, like, so, the more people learn about a subject and that, you add more components to it. So that's what I always assumed. I never saw ADD and ADHD as disparate. I always saw them as like the same thing, but ADHD is being more evolved. But what do I know? I'm just
same. I'm in the same boat. That's what I would have assumed as well. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. ADHD can kind of cover it for me.
It sounds to me that the way you're describing it is, first of all, it does sound very annoying, but it also sounds very efficient.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think about this efficiency? I'm seeing it as very efficient. You focus, you're hyper focused. Done, out. I changed my focus. I'm on this. Done, out, and you just move on. Like, what am I missing here?
Well, so you're missing the major part where things become, or where things, I guess, go from the blessing to the curse, is that I'll jump from thing to thing to thing, but I won't finish them in that order. So I've got 15 plates of food and I'm eating from all of them at the same time on my way to that end goal. So that gets a little bit frustrating because as I'm moving on to something else, that last thing is still like weighing pretty heavily on me. So it's a battle in the brain to like stop doing one thing to do another. It's hectic. It's very, very hectic.
Can you prioritize and tell yourself, listen, Matt, this is number one on your list. You have to get this done before everything else. Fucking focus, man. Like, are you able to do that, or is that the curse?
That's a great question. I'm able to do that. I am able to do that, but not for like an undetermined amount of time. I have that hyper focus window where I'll go 150% into this thing. And then once it ends, like it's done, it's over. And it's like, okay, I need to go skate now and I need to refresh that, recharge my inner battery or whatever. I need to separate myself from other people a lot and spend a lot of time by myself in order to kind of, again, recharge or just kind of like recenter myself, even because there's so much going on in my head all of the time that when other people are anywhere around me, that's adding to kind of the circus that's already going on. And since that's not a part of the circus that I guess I'm the ringleader of, so to speak, that stuff gets distracting. And then I need to kind of pull myself away in order to allow my own thoughts to have center stage. I don't know if I just answered your question. I hope I did.
No, you perfectly answered it. And when do people express their most ignorance about ADHD? Like, what are the dumbest questions they ask you? I hope I haven't asked any of them on this so far, but I probably will. But what are like the dumbest questions or the most annoying questions they ask you? And what are ways in which people just kind of insult you because they don't know what you're going through, man,
I guess there's like the cliche thing with depression or whatever, like, hey, have you just like tried not being sad? And so it's a
Right.
lot of, it's very similar.
Oh, why did I think of
with
that? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh my, you're the first person. So there's a lot of that with ADHD where it's like, oh, just focus. And it's like, dude, if I could do that, like that would be awesome. Like that's the goal here. And so it's a lot of just really dismissive, like, oh, you're lazy. You just don't want to do this thing. Like you're just,
lazy. Sorry, but you sound like the most unlazy person I've heard in any of my podcasts or maybe ever. Like, that astonishes me.
I mean, I can definitely lay around with the best of them, but even when I'm doing that, I have my computer on my lap and I'm designing something or editing something or doing some, yeah. So I've always got something going on. I'm always expending a whole bunch of mental energy all over the place. But so that's a thing because people don't see me sitting at like a desk doing some sort of a job. And so like, oh, why isn't he doing anything? And it's like, dude, I'm doing 15 other things. I've got like 15 different streams of income that I'm working on and working with over here. And so it's like, just because I'm not standing behind a barber chair anymore, just because I'm not sitting in, some sort of a cubicle somewhere, it doesn't mean that I'm not, keyboard cat, just kind of going for it and just making stuff happen in different areas of stuff. And so it is frustrating for people to kind of look at me a certain way because I don't have that traditional, like neurotypical timeline, I guess.
See, on this show, we try to promote and shine a light on people that aren't in a cubicle and aren't doing a 9 to 5. But not there's anything wrong with that. But, we like to highlight people that have broken out and or follow their dreams and do something that they're passionate about. And if you're doing 15 things you're passionate about, even better, brother. Look, that sounds like success to me. And so whatever your formula is for doing it, make it work for you and fuck all the haters. That's what I say.
Yeah. That's the goal. At the end of the day, that is the goal, 100%.
So, not to belabor the point, but I just find it, you're so honest and about the ADHD, and I have OCD. So now it's two totally different things, okay? And but I think the commonality comes from exactly what you said. Hit home to me about. People kind of see it as like, well, that should be easy to get over. It's not like a real thing. It's like, okay, just focus, right? Or with me and my OCD, it's like, well, come on, why does everything have to be at a right angle? It could just put it crooked. Who cares, right? Yeah. It's like, and it's like, no, I care, and I don't want to care. I wish I didn't care. I wish I didn't give a fuck about things being at right angles or this and that. My OCD is also pretty bad. So when you said that, I was like, yes, somebody else gets it. Now, I might not get your ADHD and you might not get my OCD, but we do understand that our body compels us for nonsensical reasons. I realize it makes no sense. Okay.
That's the worst part about it.
That's the worst part about it. And you can't train yourself out of it. It's you can intellectualize it. Your body is telling you, nope, that's Nope. All the nopes that ever nope. You got to, So my question to you is, when it comes to your ADHD and you feel like you have to switch your attention to something else, how does it manifest itself physically? Is it in your chest? Is it in your mind? Is it both? Like, how does that happen? I'm very curious about this.
So that's a fantastic question, first of all. And yeah, I totally do. I know people with OCD and stuff like that. And so I've definitely witnessed it. And just like you said, while I can't necessarily understand it completely, I do sympathize for sure. And I understand it in my own kind of a way. But so it really depends kind of the activity, I guess you could say, that I'm doing in the moment. If I'm doing some sort of like design thing and then I want to go like garden or like mow the lawn or something like that, that will kind of be a mental thing where it's just like literally a light switch gets turned off and it's like, okay, we are just not doing this anymore. And it literally just like the spotlight turns off on that thing and like the engine stops moving and then it's like, okay, time to go mow the lawn. And then I'm like fully focused on that thing. But then there's times where, like I said, if I'm like overstimulated or if there's too much going on, and let's say it's like, oh boy, like I need to go skate or I need to go on like a long walk or I need to go work out or do something to kind of get this physical energy out. That is a feeling in my chest and a feeling of like, a softball in my throat, just kind of I can't breathe, can't catch my breath, almost like the oncomings of like a panic attack. But I've managed to often catch myself before getting fully into a panic attack. But yeah, so it depends. If it's just kind of like, and this answer is going to sound so simple the way that I say it, but if it's like a mental thing, it's just like a light switch will literally turn off. And if it's like a physical anxiety or like a fight or flight type of thing that comes in, it will be my chest and my throat. My hands will literally, and I've done this before, it's kind of fun. My hands will get so sweaty that I can just like look at them and watch the sweat pool up. And that and my feet getting cold are just like, okay, it's I gotta go. I have to go. And it's just, I don't tell anyone, and I just have to go. I gotta go. And I just disappear.
You know what, brother? That makes more sense to me than you could possibly know.
Oh, I'm sure you feel that way when you see a frame or something that's hanging in the wrong direction or something like that.
It's a lot of weird things, but it's also, but the way you're talking about it, like sometimes it's in your brain and sometimes it's your body. And that's hard for people to understand. It's like, I had somebody when she used to stay with me, I told her about my OCD, and rather than being sympathetic, she thought it was hilarious to take all the cans of soup in my cupboard and turn them around so that the labels were facing backwards, or just mix them all up. And as much as I try to walk away from that, I explained to her, I can't do that. You can't do that. That's cruel. That's cruelty.
Yeah. Yeah. Like other level cruelty for sure.
Yeah. That's not cool. Like, and she would just laugh and I'm like, that's not funny. Like, you try to walk away and then it's like a spirit, like just pulls you back. And I don't know whether it's my head or my chest. I guess it's more like my chest. My body is just like, you can't walk away from that. You can't.
Yeah. It becomes an obsession.
Yeah.
Not the OCD, but it really becomes an obsession.
Yeah. So, but there's certain things that affect my mind. So look, I totally get you. This interview is not about me. It's about you. But I just wanted to let you know, brother, that even though we have like different, let's say diagnoses, but I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain.
Same boat, same boat. We're just rocking on a different ocean, I guess.
Exactly. And by the way, I've never had an opportunity or a reason to bring up. I try to share as much of myself on my interviews as I can, but I've never had the opportunity to or a reason to bring up my OCD because I want people to feel like they're not alone. And so I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that and being so honest, man, because I'm feeling what you're saying, like more than you know. And this is like therapy for me. Thank you.
Same. And I appreciate you sharing that. That's huge. That's huge. Because people like one of my main things, not to harp on anything or drag anything on longer than it may need to.
No, go ahead, go for it.
But one of my main things that anyone that's followed me on social media for any sort of, and I've been on social media for 20 years at this point, but anyone that's followed me, that's been kind of one of my main things. I have always been open about mental health stuff, about mental health struggles, about my depression, anxiety. Literally everything that I go through is all listed on different social networks over the course of the last few years. It is something that is shied away from, and that is something that I really do not like because it is so prevalent in society these days, and so many people either deny it or downplay it or will turn other people's soup cans around in their cupboard because they think that it's funny. And so there really does show that there is a stigma about all of this stuff. It does show that people are ignorant and just uneducated about this stuff. And so it is really important for people with OCD like yourself and people like me with ADHD and everything else that I deal with to kind of give a platform to that stuff when it is needed, because it's not really what is portrayed on television and in most popular media. It's a lot darker than that. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more nuanced than that. So I do think that it's very important for people like us to openly speak on that stuff. So again, I do appreciate you sharing your experience with that.
Yeah, look, it's a thing. Okay, it's a thing. I think what people don't get is it's a thing.
Yeah.
ADHD is a thing. OCD is a thing. So your story really brings that home. Okay, so listen. So let's talk about, you mentioned 15 things. Let's talk about these buckets. So you're a rollerblader. You're a YouTuber. I've seen your videos. It's fantastic. What are the other big buckets of the things that take up your time throughout a typical day?
Right now, it's a lot of design work on the computer, and then I do all of my screen printing in my house, and so I do everything start to finish with all of my design work, all of my screen printing, and all of that. That takes up a great portion of my time. That would probably be the biggest bucket right now.
You said screen printing?
Yeah, like printing t-shirts.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So like any t-shirt that you see out or that you buy from a band or whatever was screen printed. Basically what that entails, just very quick, is it's a literal screen. You have to put emulsion on it like you do in a dark room with a photo. And then you have to expose that screen with a design that's printed off of the computer onto a transparent piece of paper. So it's very chemically involved. I had to make my laundry room into a full-on dark room so that I would be able to do this stuff. My girlfriend has been very accommodating and very awesome with all of that, allowing me to take up literally our dining room and our laundry room. So that would be my biggest thing, is doing that, printing all of these t-shirts for not only myself and my business, but also for my girlfriend and her business.
Okay, interesting. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was just telling Amber today, I'm like, wow, this guy makes t-shirts. And I was just talking to my girl the other day, because this is podcast idea we have, and we need just simple t-shirts. Like, doesn't even need a design on it, just with certain words on it. So maybe you and I can link up and you can maybe point me in the right direction or help me yourself. That would be great.
For sure. Absolutely.
Isn't it funny how things work out?
That's networking, my friend.
That's exactly right, man. So let's talk about another thing that we share in common-ish.
What's that?
Ish? All right. Extreme sports. Okay. All right. Now, tell me about the origins of your rollerblading obsession. I saw you do several pretty cool tricks that I could never do. Although I've rollerbladed, but when I did it back in the day, I just did it super casually, just to, ride around and get some exercise. No tricks, no nothing. But you've done some pretty cool stuff. And when did that start? And tell me about why you took a hiatus. I'm going to leave it at that.
Oof. So rollerblading, I could talk about rollerblading for days. Rollerblading has literally, not to be over dramatic, but rollerblading has literally saved my life on 2 separate occasions back when I was 13 years old. And then,
saved your life, not almost ended it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, there's combinations there that we can get into as well.
Right. No, I hear you though.
But when I was younger, when I was a teenager, when I first got into it back in like 94, when it was really kind of picking up steam, I got into it just like everyone, all the other punk rock kids getting into skateboarding, rollerblading, all of that stuff. It was just kind of a means of destruction and kind of self-expression and all of that. And it took me out of kind of, I guess, hurting myself, doing it in a more productive way. It was something that was definitely very mentally challenging for me, physically challenging for me. It kept me in shape. And then I skated for probably like 5 or 6 years. And when I was 17 years old, I went for a trick at my old elementary school. I went to go jump on one of the handrails, and I completely missed, and I ended up breaking a chunk off of the base of my tailbone. And so that was probably the most painful thing that was probably the most painful thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. And it still affects me to this day. Sitting down, I have to change positions literally every like minute or so that it doesn't get sore.
That was in 2000?
Probably right around there. Yeah. 99, 2000.
And you still feel it.
Yeah. It's like a permanent, it's like a permanent thing. And so after that was literally just like, okay, I'm done. I am never getting on a pair of skates again. And I didn't up until I was like 30, 34 years old. So that happened when I was 17. I took like 17 years off, 18 years off. And I went to a friend of mine's kid's birthday party at a skating rink, and I put rollerblades on and I took a lap, and I was just like, okay, like that felt good. Didn't do anything about it though. I skated that day, didn't do anything about it. And then I ended up one day, I was literally walking through my bedroom and my back gave out, just completely locked up. I ended up falling and I was just completely pinned, couldn't do anything. Had to go
randomly,
just out of nowhere. I was literally just walking.
Wow.
And so my back completely locked up. I had to go to an emergency chiropractor appointment, and the chiropractor gave me like a full assessment. I don't know, whatever you call it. Went over my entire back, did the whole thing. And he was like, dude, you have the back of like a 65-year-old man. You need to do some exercising. You need to work out. You need to be more active, blah, blah, blah. And so literally that night I went home and I bought a pair of rollerblades on the internet, and I have not stopped skating since. And it's been like five years.
Wow.
And so in those 5 years, I have broken my ankle, I think twice. I have broken ribs on both sides of my abdominal cavity, I guess you could say. I've traveled a whole bunch. I've split my shins. I've split my knees open. I have a hairline fracture on my elbow as we speak. And I couldn't be happier. I just couldn't be happier.
So,
yeah.
When you say that it saved your life, you're talking specifically about. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I can guess what you're going to say, but be more specific when you say that rollerblading saved your life.
Just as far as like mental health goes, that's the thing. I wake up, and if it's nice out, I start my day with skating. I like to skate 5 days a week if I can. I'll get out to the skate park. And so that'll be that's my main workout. I do, upper body stuff occasionally as well, but I really focus on cardio and heart health and stuff like that. So I deal with skating a lot, but it is also my social time, I guess. I meet up with the same group of friends at the skate park multiple days a week, and we hang out, and it's like you just said a few minutes ago, it's like a therapy session. It's hanging out with people. It's getting that physical exercise. It's hanging out with people that are right around my age that are going through similar stuff. We don't have, a lot of the time, our partners, our girlfriends, our wives or whatever won't be there. So it's kind of just like dude time at the skate park to be able to talk about stuff and kind of be a little bit more vulnerable than I guess you can be in a lot of other settings, because we've seen each other get hurt. We've helped each other up. We've cheered each other on. There's so much just like camaraderie and stuff like that that goes into the sport, that even though it is a very individual thing, it's also like a group effort to be involved in, especially when there's such a small skate scene like there is here in Tallahassee. So it has been literally for my mental health. It has picked me up when nothing else was able to. And as far as my physical health goes, I'm about to be 40 years old and I've never been in better physical shape in my entire life. And so it's changed my diet. I mean, it's done so many good things to me, and for me. And it's just taught me so. I can go on forever. It's taught me so much about myself, about self-discipline, about what I'm capable of. Just, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's the best thing I think that I've ever done for myself.
No, I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I'll tell you why. I have this theory that a lot of the reason that so many people are out of shape, particularly Americans,
Yeah, absolutely,
is because they haven't found that one thing where they can get exercise doing something that they love, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many options, and luckily for me, I've always loved exercising, playing sports, whatever. But not everybody's into that. But one thing that I found, and before, don't let your eyes glaze over. Give me 2 minutes to explain why I'm so excited about everything you just said, and the fact that you were going to be my guest on the show today.
Let's hear it.
So you know what a ripstick is?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So the producer of this show, my sister, producer Jaime, years ago was showing me that she had gotten this ripstick, and she was showing me how fun it is. The way you look at a commercial and it's like kids playing around with it. She's like, you should try it. It's really fun. And she wasn't talking about exercise. It was just looked like a fun thing. Like we used to, have a pogo stick when we were kids. We just like to do fun things, whatever. So she's like, you should try to ride it. I was like, that doesn't look like it's possible to ride. She's like, I can do it. I'm like, okay, then I definitely can do it. All right, no problem.
Oh, yeah. Famous last words.
Right, exactly. So then I got a ripstick. And then at the time I had this pretty like swanky penthouse, and I could ride my ripstick and practice it in private so I wouldn't have to like fall down in front of people and embarrass myself on the balcony, because I had a huge balcony. The balcony was like almost the same size as my apartment.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I learned. Yeah, that's where I learned to ride my ripstick. And I ended up like, you know what? These things can actually, if you do it right, you can actually go really fast.
Yeah.
So then I became obsessed with it. Then there's a company out in Texas. They would make like custom made caster boards. So ripstick is a brand. Caster board is what it's called. Like a skateboard is a skateboard.
Oh,
it's a caster board.
Okay.
And then ripstick is a brand name, right? So I was looking into caster boards. I became obsessed. I bought like so many caster boards, custom made with the designs I wanted on them. And they're big. They're huge ones. These are not toys. They're not made out of plastic. They're made out of wood, and they're like gangsta. They're like amazing.
I didn't even know that they made those. That's awesome.
Oh, bro. And they're made like for adults. So I was obsessed, and I think I started riding those about maybe 7 years ago, maybe 5 to 7 years ago. And I was riding every day. And, I'm like nearing 40, and I just didn't give a shit. I was riding every day. I was in the best shape of my life. I would like work out during the day and do what I call street surfing at night. So I don't know why I stopped. I'm staring at my caster board right now. It's just right in front of my door, because I'm putting it's in front of my door because I'm trying to remind myself, just get back on. I haven't been on there in like a year.
Dude, the feeling of freedom of just cruising. There's some headphones on or some music going somewhere, and you're just kind of moving around. There's like nothing like it.
Bro, you are inspiring me to get back out. I was watching one of your videos today, and I saw your gloves, or whatever you call it.
Oh, my wrist guard.
Your wrist guard. And I was like, I had that exact same brand with the circle. I don't know what it's called, and I still got those. I still got my knee pads. I can get out and go. And South Beach is a great place to go.
Oh, dude.
I just need to get out and just freaking do it, because the freedom and just the happiness is such a stress release.
Nothing else matters. You're just cruising, doing your thing.
And the other thing that you said that really resonated with me is that to help your back, because I have severe scoliosis. I've got to do whatever I can to build my back muscles, and that really, really helped. So anyway, that's the longest.
That's all core for sure. That's all core workout right there.
That is the longest I've gone without letting my guest speak ever by far.
I'm here for it, my friend. I'm here for it.
I just wanted to tell you how much everything you just shared with me means to me, brother. And
awesome.
I've not hurt myself as badly as you have, but
keep it that way, please.
You're still going. Oh
yeah, I'm going at this until I can't.
Do you try to influence or motivate other people to rollerblade, or you're like, if they want to, they can, maybe they'll watch me and they'll rollerblade, whatever. But do you actively try to get other people to do it?
Not necessarily, just kind of. And I have absolutely no problem with vegans by any stretch of the imagination. I've been vegan several times. I'm vegetarian most of the time. But it's kind of that whole cliche joke or whatever about vegans where it's like, how do you find a vegan at a party? Don't worry, they'll tell you. I don't want to be that guy and like push it's like, hey, if you're into this, like we can be into it together. But I don't want to be that guy that kind of like bugs other people to do it. I do, however, have several pairs of rollerblades. So if there's ever anybody at the skate park that's like, oh, I'm thinking about, I'll be like, oh, I have an extra pair. If you want to like try them on or borrow them or whatever, just let me know. No one has taken me up on that offer yet, unfortunately, but I do definitely offer that and stuff. But I do not kind of go around waving that flag, I guess. But there's only, as far as Tallahassee goes, like full-time, quote unquote, full-time rollerbladers that are here. It's like me and two or three other guys that I know of. And then it's all skateboarding and roller skating. So I'm kind of on my own island up here. And I like it that way.
I'm going to make a statement and you tell me whether or not you agree with it because it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So part of the reason why I love caster boarding is because unlike, obviously there are several risks when it comes to surfing, several risks when it comes to snowboarding. I would definitely love to try snowboarding at one point in my life.
It's so fun.
But for me, it just seems like, it's a softer, you're on a softer ground, whether it's, it's water, it's snow. Whereas I kind of really love the danger of concrete. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm not on point, I'm going to fuck myself up.
Yeah.
Like, and I have, but in your mind, do you feel a certain sense of intensity and excitement over knowing that the concrete is right there? There's going to be no soft landings for you.
Yeah. That's one of the, and this is not a healthy thing to think by any stretch of the imagination, but when I go skating, if I'm going out to if I'm not going to a skate park, if I'm going to like a college campus or something to skate, like handrails or whatever it is, I go out knowing like this could be the last time that I skate. And so that's a very real worry for me just because of how many times I have been injured. Like I said, I broke my ankle twice in the last couple of years. So like that's a difficult thing to come back from, especially skating. Breaking my ribs. I came really close to messing up my back the second time that I broke my ribs. So I have had to kind of tamp things down a little bit based on how dangerous I was allowing myself to kind of get. But that is, that's the thrill of it. The skating and all of that stuff, that's fun. And that's the release. And, that's the freedom and all that stuff. But jumping on stuff and having the possibility of getting hurt, I guess that's like the fire under there that really keeps you going back for more, I guess.
I like the danger of it. And it does make me focus like a laser on every single thing that's in the street.
Yep. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, especially when you're on two wheels instead of four, you got.
Yeah, yours is crazy. I've never been. I've tried to ride those things, and I've never been able to even get off the ground with them. It's always been, I guess, a balance thing or just confusion. I didn't understand it.
Honestly, it's like riding a bike. Once you get it, you get it. I can do. If you had asked me, 20 years ago, if there's any way I could do what I do on this thing, I would have been like, that's physically impossible.
For sure.
And you're not the person to do it.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Yeah.
So you never know what you're capable of until you try. And now it's like riding a bike. I'm sure if I tried to do it right now, even though it's been a year, I'm not, that's not what I'm nervous about. I just need to motivate and just You know what? I am motivated now. Thanks to you, man.
You just
So I
got to do it.
appreciate you.
You just got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So listen, we touched on so many different disparate things. What is your life philosophy, Matt?
Oh man. I don't know. What is my life philosophy? I mean, my whole thing, man, these days, I've lived a crazy life, as we've already kind of discussed. Um, my thing these days is just like, be cool. You know what I mean? Just like be cool to other people. We are all, every single person, I don't care, political, religious, gender wise, like I don't care about anyone's stuff. If you're being cool, if you're not here making anybody else's life more difficult than it already is just being on planet Earth, like just be cool. There's no reason to
Turn around people's soup cans. Yeah.
there's no reason for that. You know what I mean? Like that did nothing to move anything forward for anybody. And so it's things like that it's just like if your only purpose that you're serving is a negative one, what's the point? So basically, I mean, my whole thing could just be summed down really to just be cool. Just be cool to everybody else. Let everybody else experience life on their own terms the same way that you want to be allowed to experience your life on your own terms. And, you know, keep your morals out of my house and I'll keep my morals out of your house type of a thing.
If there's only something negative to be served by what you're doing, then what's the point? I love that. I love that.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you nailed it. I believe in that more than you know.
Good. Good.
Wow. I love it. See, and you hadn't thought about it. I sprung you with that question.
Yeah.
Look what a great answer you gave.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Great food for thought. All right. So listen, so this is the part where I tell you, do you have any events or anything else coming up that you want to promote while you're here with me on the mic? And I do have to add this caveat. I mean, you're doing like so many different things. You've got 15 sources of income, as you said. Is there one platform that showcases like all of your stuff, or do you have to like use multiple platforms? How can I help people get to know you everywhere? Take as much time as you want. Go ahead.
My main place right now is Instagram, and it's just my name at Matt Burke. And that is where I really do pretty much everything. I've had that Instagram since Instagram became a thing back in 2011 or whenever it was. And so I've got my entire last 12 years on there. I've got my daughter's entire life on there. I've got all the different business stuff, all the different photography stuff that I've done. It's a pretty neat little time capsule. So I just stay over there. I do also have an Instagram account for my business, Strained Memory, which is just at Strained Memory as well. And that, like we've said, that is my main thing right now. We've been doing my girlfriend and I have been doing a lot of markets around Tallahassee, just like all of the different flea markets and artist markets and stuff like that. We are talking to a couple local businesses about putting our stuff. My girlfriend paints and hand throws pottery, and I do all of the screen printing stuff. So we're trying to get all of that stuff into some local places. We have it in my girlfriend's salon as far as having it in like a brick and mortar location that people can go and check it out and buy it and do whatever. But yeah, I'm going to be at pretty much just markets around Tallahassee. I'm all over the internet. I'm on Instagram just way more often than I need to be, since my whole job involves being on the computer and being on social media and kind of just talking to people and stuff. So Instagram would definitely be the best place. Strainedmemory.com is my website and the web store where you can order stuff as well. And something that I do have coming up that I'm really excited about as far as that is concerned is, I don't know the exact dates because I'm terrible, but I think it's the third week of April is National Library Week here in the United States. And public libraries are something that I take very, very seriously. I am a very, very big fan of public libraries and all that they do for the communities that they serve. They have helped me out over the course of the last 20 years or so. Library, they're just like one of the most important meeting places, and one of like the only free third spaces that we have left in this country, which is terrible. But so I'm working right now really, really hard on a couple different designs for National Library Week that will be kind of more designed towards people of I guess more of an alternative lifestyle or whatever. They're not going to be your just like cookie cutter, library books or library shirts rather, but they are very, very cool. I just posted the first one on Strained Memory today, right before this interview. So that's something that I'm really excited about. Hopefully sell a whole bunch of those shirts. And I'm working out right now a percentage of the proceeds to go to my local library here in Tallahassee. And, yeah, that's something that I've got coming up that I'm really excited about because I don't think that people appreciate their local libraries as much as they should.
I think that's very true. And before we go, did I hear you say that your girlfriend hand throws pottery, or did I mishear that? What was that?
No, that is definitely correct. My girlfriend is an artist across several different mediums. She's a hairstylist and a salon owner here in Tallahassee, as I mentioned. But she also is a watercolor artist and is a phenomenal one at that. And also, yes, does hand throw pottery, goes to different studios around Tallahassee that have commercial, I guess, pottery studios and hand throw stuff on there. We have a wheel at home that she throws on. She also like hand builds a whole bunch of different stuff, all sorts of really, really cool stuff like incense holders, incense burners, like catch-all trays, little garlic grinder things for the kitchen, spoon rests, different, literally all sorts of different stuff. And so we are just kind of always making stuff. She makes designs. I screen print them for her, and then does the pottery stuff. And yeah. It's pretty cool little life.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. We'll include everything that you've mentioned in our show notes and promote you as much as possible. I really love everything you're doing. And, on a personal note, I'm going to get on my caster board and ride on my favorite day to do things tomorrow.
I really hope. Yes, of course. Tomorrow's the best day to get it done, my friend. The best day to get it done.
All right. I appreciate you, man.
No doubt. Thank you for having me, my friend.
All right. So Fresh Mixers, as you could see, I was really, really into that interview because I felt such a personal connection, not specifically to what Matt's going through, but, because I don't have ADHD. But my girl does. And I have OCD, even though I can't relate to how it specifically affects his life. And he can't, relate to my side with the OCD. We can relate to how people react to us, right? Because they both seem so nonsensical, right? But what I love about him is his attitude. He seemed to have made lemons out of lemonade. It's like, when I asked him, is it a gift or a curse, And, he says he talks about that with his girl all the time. It sounds to me that he's able to handle multiple things at once. I tend to take things systematically based on priority. And, as an attorney, I've got deadlines for certain clients and, some have to take precedence over others. So it has to be systematic, but I could only imagine what that would look like if, my mind was going in a million different directions, or it couldn't stay focused in one direction for longer than a certain period of time. I don't know what that must be like, but it seems like he's really turned it into a positive with a positive attitude and straight up honesty about himself and his struggle. And I just love that he just puts it out there and he pulls no punches about how it affects him and his reaction to how people react to him. Right. I just think that that's great. There was nothing but positivity in that conversation, but he also seems pretty fearless. He takes things on. He recognizes his strengths and he just sees an issue and he dives right into it. And look, I call myself a nerd openly, so I don't know if he'd call himself a nerd, but he's got I sense some nerd type qualities, with him like taking on a new subject, Googling it. And by the end of the afternoon, he's pretty much, halfway to becoming an expert in that thing. So I think that that's absolutely great. If something ails you, something makes you unique, look, don't even consider it a lemon. I like to say turn lemons into lemonade, but you know what? That's your quirk. All right. Turn your quirk into something even more special and something that allows you to rise above and beyond the quirkless. Right. So that's my thing. And, at the very end there, I loved what he said. is probably the shortest axiom I've ever heard that just makes so much sense, which is be cool, right? Don't make other people's lives more difficult than they already are. I mean, why would anyone do that? I can't believe this came straight from the top of his dome, right? But he said, if the only purpose that you're serving is a negative one, then what's the point? Okay. If you want to be negative, you know what? Stay home and keep to yourself. You don't need to spread that, because negativity is like a disease. Okay. And it can easily metastasize when you spread it with other people. And sometimes it just takes one word, right? Sometimes one word, one phrase, one conversation can really have a deleterious effect on, someone's mindset for days, weeks, even years. Believe me. The same thing goes for when someone says or does something that's positive. And we've talked about this on the show before. If you have the opportunity to say something positive to someone, or tell them that you love them, or tell them that they're doing something that has affected your life in a positive way, tell them, because that positive word, phrase, same way, it can affect them for the rest of their lives, or it can make their day. So that's my fresh take. I mean, there's so many things I could have given Matt big ups on, but I'm telling you, I really hope that he and I keep in touch, because his energy was exactly, to be honest, is exactly what I needed at the time and in this moment of reflection, thinking back to our conversation. What a pleasure it was to interview this guy. All right. So thank you so much for listening in, and I look forward to having you join us for the next episode of Florida's Fresh Mix podcast. Take care, y'all. For details and show notes about today's show and our guests, go to freshmixpodcast.com. The Florida Podcast Network has a closed Facebook group exclusively for super fans of their shows. Just search for FPN Insiders on Facebook to leave us comments, get early scoops, contests, and other special treats. Or you can just complain about how Florida... Now, here's a complaint that's kind of a compliment and a complaint simultaneously. But the weather here is so good that we get spoiled. So it's been raining, like straight up raining with very little respite for the past 2 days. And I'm over it. Okay. I need the sun. So, hey, Florida, step it up. All right. Anyways, be sure to visit all the great shows on the Florida Podcast Network. Keep catching Who's Fresh in the Florida Mix with Florida's Fresh Mix podcast.